Are you among those who are worried about what SASSA would do about social grants in 2026? There have been new security features. Many have complained of unpaid grants. Others complain that they were never approved. And now it makes us to think, is SASSA just trying to take people's money for their selfish interest? Families wake up each day wondering what this new year will bring, especially after months of rising food prices, transport struggles, and the quiet fear that comes when households stretch every rand. But today's story is not about fear. It's about clarity, hope, and a government message that has stirred conversations across the country. For many of our viewers, especially our older persons, caregivers, and disability grant recipients, SASSA payments are not assistance, they are the backbone of survival. They are what keep the lights on, the cupboards open, and dignity intact. So when government leaders spoke recently, with urgency and emotion, South Africans listened. In July 2025, Minister of Social Development, CC Talashe, delivered a budget message that continues to echo into January 2026. She said, "This budget is not just about numbers. It is about wiping away hunger and fear on children's faces." Her words set the tone for today's update and for the entire social protection system. Before we go deeper, please subscribe if you appreciate clear, verified updates directly from government sources. It truly helps this channel continue supporting you. Before we get into the January payment flow, we must understand the heart behind the 2025-2026 Social Development Budget vote because it shapes everything SASSA is doing right now. The minister presented a powerful vision, a society where families feel supported, children are protected, and older persons walk with dignity. That vision is funded by a massive 294 billion rand allocation, one of the country's largest commitments to social protection. Not a cent of this is random. Every part is meant to protect families from hunger and vulnerability. This includes 284 billion rand for monthly transfers to SASSA beneficiaries, children, older persons, and persons with disabilities. 34.9 billion rand to keep the COVID-era SRD grant alive until March 2026, funding for gender-based violence shelters, fraud prevention systems, and community support programs. What the minister said most strongly was this: it is about lifting the despair of poverty from caregivers' shoulders and leaving no child behind. For many families watching today, this message matters because January is often the hardest financial month. But as we move through the script, you will see how these funds translate into the SASSA payments you rely on. If you're finding this helpful so far, remember to subscribe for more verified updates. South Africa's grant system is not just a financial program. It's a family support system, and the budget vote made it clear that 2026 is about restoring trust in how our government cares for households. The department confirmed that more than 13 million children rely on the child support grant. Over 4 million older persons depend on the older persons grant, and more than 7 million people, especially the youth, depend on the SRD grant for basic survival. These numbers aren't just statistics, they represent real families trying to stay afloat. The minister stressed that strengthening families is the foundation of the 2025-2026 budget. This includes new parenting programs in teenage pregnancy hotspots, expanded protection for children with disabilities, and stronger laws to protect older persons. And yes, SASSA remains at the heart of it all. For 19 years, SASSA has been the strongest shield for the vulnerable, distributing grants that keep entire communities alive. These decisions influence January 2026 payments and the amounts beneficiaries have been receiving since the last increase in October 2025. But we'll reveal those payment details later in the script. For now, let's understand why these grants matter more than ever. One of the biggest themes in the latest government updates is dignity. The minister said clearly, we cannot afford to rest until we have protected every woman, every child, every older person. This is why, in addition to the grant increases of October 2025, the department is fighting fraud, rolling out biometric systems, and reviewing beneficiaries to ensure protection of public funds. It's not just about tightening systems, it's about making sure that every rand reaches the right home. At the same time, the government is reinforcing its commitment to battling gender-based violence. Funding has been increased to expand shelters in hotspots, and national programs are being intensified to ensure no survivor is left alone. For older persons, new laws are being strengthened to protect them from abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. Community aging programs will also be expanded across provinces. As we move closer towards discussing January's payment cycle, it's important to understand this. The entire system, from SASSA branches to community programs, is being reshaped to restore trust. Before we talk about the January 2026 payment breakdown itself, we must step into the engine room of SASSA and the National Development Agency. The NDA is undergoing a major transformation. New community-owned projects like the Bakery Cooperative in Stellenbosch are providing jobs and income to families who used to depend entirely on grants. The agency aims to raise an additional 80 million rand to expand its reach this year. Meanwhile, SASSA itself is tightening its systems. A nationwide review of beneficiaries is underway, and new biometric verification processes will be introduced to help prevent fraud. These steps protect the integrity of your grant, making sure payments remain stable, reliable, and secure. The minister also confirmed that above-inflation increases were implemented in October 2025, bringing older persons, disability and care dependency grants to 2,310 rand per month, an important detail we'll revisit when we discuss January's payouts. We are building towards the January payment dates and details soon, but I want you to clearly understand the foundation behind those payments first. If you value reliable information from official sources, remember to subscribe and stay with us through this journey. Do you know why January can be challenging sometimes in terms of money? It is because sometimes people spend generously during the December holidays, and by the time January arrives, the money left can be small, making the month feel financially challenging. School uniforms, transport money, rising food prices, they all come at once. For many, SASSA grants are not just support. They are the only dependable way to rebuild after December spending. That is why understanding the January 2026 SASSA payment cycle is so important. But before we talk dates and amounts, we must remember the bigger message from government: restoring trust. After years of economic strain, system glitches, and anxieties around late payments, the new administration is committed to making SASSA a symbol of reliability again. The minister said this budget is about reigniting the role of the family in a renewed commitment to dignity and inclusion. Those are not small words, and they shape every payment cycle ahead. This script now moves closer to the information you've been waiting for, but it's important that we build context so you know why January's payments look the way they do and how they tie back to the budget announced for 2025-2026. If you're finding this breakdown clear and helpful, please consider subscribing. It ensures you never miss verified, government-backed updates. To understand January 2026 grants, we must revisit October 2025, when SASSA implemented above-inflation increases to cushion families from the soaring cost of living. Since that increase, older persons grant 2,310 rand, disability grant 2,310 rand, care dependency grant 2,310 rand, child support grant continued at the adjusted baseline. SRD beneficiaries maintained support through the extended budget. These amounts have not changed since October because the next adjustment is planned later in 2026. This is important to say clearly. Many people are still confused about whether January brings new increases. It does not. But January brings certainty, and for South African families, certainty is sometimes as valuable as an increase. Government's message is simple. The system is stabilizing. Fraud is being reduced. Biometrics are coming. Families will not be abandoned. January is the first major test of that promise, and everything so far points to a smoother payment cycle than previous years. Stay with us. We are now approaching the exact payment dates and the detailed breakdown you came for.
Now we can begin transitioning toward January's full payment rollout. But remember, clear understanding prevents confusion. Many viewers often mix up SASSA schedules, especially early in the year, so let's walk through it carefully. SASSA's long-standing priority is older persons, followed by disability grants, and finally children's grants. This sequence ensures that caregivers and pensioners receive support first, because they carry the heaviest financial responsibility in their households. For January 2026, the payment cycle follows the established pattern that South Africans have come to rely on. These dates have been confirmed based on SASSA's official scheduling and remain aligned with previous January cycles. But before we list the dates, it's important to highlight one major message from SASSA's leadership. Early month payments remain a cornerstone of protecting families from hunger pressure. This commitment is directly tied to the 284 billion rand allocated for transfers in the national budget. And now, as promised, we are stepping into the confirmed payment schedule for January 2026. Stay with us, your exact dates are in the very next scene. If you haven't already, do subscribe. It helps you stay ahead of every official update. Here are the official SASSA payment dates for January 2026, following the established national schedule. Older Persons Grant, 06 January 2026. Disability Grants, 07 January 2026. Children's Grants, 08 January 2026. These payment dates ensure that older persons receive their support first, enabling them to assist their households before the mid-month strain begins. Disability grant recipients follow immediately, giving them a stable start to the year, and children's grants complete the cycle on the third day. For many families, these early month payments help relieve school-related pressures, stationery, transport, food, and last-minute expenses that always follow the festive period. All payments will reflect the same amounts introduced in October 2025, where the older persons, disability, and care dependency grants were increased to 2,310 rand per month. These values remain in effect for January 2026. This early year cycle is designed to soften the financial blow that January often brings, and thousands of households have already expressed relief that the dates are predictable and stable. The next scene will reveal why this January cycle matters for restoring trust, a key theme in government's current message. January 2026 is more than a payment cycle. It is a trust test. For years, SASSA beneficiaries have dealt with uncertainty, network outages, card issues, and fears of late deposits. But this year signals something different. Government's message, reinforced in Budget Vote 19, is that stability is non-negotiable. It is part of a bigger plan to restore trust and protect families, as repeatedly stated by Minister Talashe. The January rollout reflects this renewed commitment. With biometric verification being introduced, fraud declining, and early month payments maintained, trust is being rebuilt one step at a time. For older persons who depend on every cent, for caregivers raising children alone, and for people living with disabilities, predictability is a form of dignity. The 294 billion rand allocation is not symbolic. It is a direct investment in families, ensuring their January begins with certainty rather than fear. As we move into the final scenes, we will shift from information to impact. What does this mean for your household? What should beneficiaries expect for the rest of 2026? How does this budget protect your future? If you value content that puts your family first, remember to subscribe. Now that the January 2026 SASSA payment dates and amounts are clear, it's time to understand the real impact on households across South Africa. These grants are not just numbers, they are lifelines. They allow older persons to maintain their dignity, caregivers to provide for their children, and persons with disabilities to live independently. The Child Support Grant, reaching over 13 million children, ensures that households have access to essential food, school supplies, and clothing. Older persons and disability grants, totaling over 4 million beneficiaries, cover rent, medical expenses, and basic living needs. The social relief of distress continues to provide crucial support for young adults navigating unemployment. This January cycle demonstrates the government's commitment to protecting families at the start of the year, giving households the ability to plan, budget, and survive the peak financial stress in January. These payments represent stability in an unpredictable economy. Minister Talashe's vision is clear: restore trust, deepen impact, and ensure no family is left behind. January 2026 marks a tangible step toward that promise, signaling that social development is not just about numbers, it's about changing lives. If you haven't already, subscribe to stay informed about every update from SASSA and government programs that affect you and your family. Scene 12. Looking ahead, a year of support. January 2026 is just the beginning. Budget Vote 19 emphasizes that social development is a year-long commitment. Over the next 12 months, the 294 billion rand allocation will continue to protect vulnerable families, support community-driven programs, and strengthen anti-fraud systems. Importantly, beneficiaries can trust that SASSA will continue to prioritize reliability. Biometric systems are being rolled out nationwide, and beneficiary reviews are ongoing to ensure public funds reach those who need them most. This year, social grants are more than financial support. They are a symbol of government accountability. They reflect a renewed commitment to families and the promise that the state is actively listening to its citizens. By staying informed and engaged, beneficiaries can better navigate the social grant system and plan their year ahead. Subscribe now to get every update that ensures your family receives the support it deserves throughout 2026. Scene 13. The Promise of 2026. As we conclude, remember that January 2026 is more than payments. It is a reflection of a government determined to restore trust, protect families, and strengthen society. The theme of Budget Vote 19, restoring trust, deepening impact, and reigniting the role of the family, is not rhetoric. It is visible in the confirmed SASSA payments, stable schedules, and continued commitment to vulnerable South Africans. For families, it means certainty. Older Persons Grant on 06 January 2026, Disability Grants on 07 January 2026, Children's Grants on 08 January 2026. These funds are your foundation, ensuring households can plan, feed, educate, and care for their loved ones. The broader message is clear. SASSA and the Department of Social Development are actively building a system that protects dignity, combats poverty, and restores confidence in social support programs. From grants to community projects, from anti-fraud measures to shelter expansion, 2026 is shaping up to be a year where families feel supported and included. This is your update, clear, verified, and designed to keep you informed. Subscribe today to never miss vital SASSA announcements and share this with loved ones who depend on these updates. Till next time, bye.